You can stop there already. What's the whole purpose of doing this? Firstly is, of course, what you want for your kid. No? What you expect, in this case, what you expect your kid to have. So when we look back, it becomes your expectation of the kid to have. Right? What happens if this kid don't achieve this? It becomes your disappointment. Yeah. And then if you look back at the kid, what you expect him to have is somehow, some of it is actually the things that you are wanting. Huh? When you put love there, maybe around you, you don't feel love being when we are you when you are when you are in when you're together with the few person you don't feel love. So you put love there. There's a reason. It must not come. Maybe it's coming from your parents. Maybe it's not coming from parents. Maybe it's from friends. Being in a community, that's a need, right? Need to be in a community. If you got no friends, then you don't feel happy. So being in a community, having friends, just to chit chat, that's a need as well. Love that can come from friends as well. So when you write down that, most of it, if you have written down a lot, most of it, if you can see, you can actually summarize them. It leads down to a deeper path. No? You can summarize into few categories from what you have written. Those that have written only 10, of course, those people that wrote down, it's easier for you to express. Maybe you have done your reflection, that's why you are so clear. Those that have less than 10, maybe you have not done your reflection yet. Maybe you find it hard to sometimes express, right? Maybe it's a skill set that you haven't learned yet. So this whole process of communication basically is a process of understanding yourself, how meta program is creating, is benefiting you. When I say benefit, we later we pay more attention on benefit. And then how is it provoking you to feel angry, right? All these come from meta program. Benefit, for example, when you're young, your parents is very calculative, right? Do this, therefore you get 10 ringgit. You have to clean the house, only you get tomorrow's lunch pocket money in school. So when parents are too calculative, somehow it creates a meta program for you. Then you will internalize into the automated program called the what? What is it called again? The automation part of the brain. Basal ganglia. Yeah, that area. Let's call it the automation part. So it will be registered into that automation part. Then somehow you just feel calculative among your friends, and then sometimes people feel uneasy with you. They are too calculative. So this is actually a meta program created when you were young. So how do you use it as an advantage now that first step you realize it, second step you have to accept it. So how do you, once you accept it, then how do you use it? Like for yourself, maybe calculative part. So if I were to continue to be calculative, for example, when back in the uni days, sometimes I go out lunch with previously some uni mates, and then there are people that is so calculative up to the extent where dinner or lunch bill, yeah, they will split it, they'll calculate the tax rate, they'll calculate the service charge rate, and then they'll divide by whoever that is eating. And then they'll also look at the portion that you are eating. For example, some of the people order beer, some of the people order chicken, and then I didn't eat the chicken, therefore I'm going to cross off my chicken, up to that certain extent. So in a way, you have that skill set. For example, if you are like that, in a way you have that skill set. But if you were to continue to use that skill set among your friends, then your friends will feel uncomfortable. Agree? So when after going out a few times, your friend feel uncomfortable, they won't come out with you anymore. Then you start to ask yourself, why do I not have friends and this and that? Right? So now knowing that, now being aware that you have this skill set, How do you use it then? You can use it in a lot of areas, right? Because the starting part of communication, respect and collaboration. You put yourself in their perspective and understand their situation. At the end of the day, all of this is just your expectation. Okay? It is your expectation. That's why people talk about norms. Norm in a particular family and a norm in your spouse family is totally different. Right? So you put yourself in their situation, your spouse, uh, your wife, for example. How did they brought up? How was she brought up in the company? In the family, and then what your husband, understanding it. Huh? This one you understand? So this process actually we have to have to keep using it, especially for spouse. And then for yourself, if you got no boyfriend and no girlfriend, you go and talk to your friend. Right? Understand yourself better. And then among friends, you communicate this way. We call it the proper way of communicating. Understand your needs, your feelings, identify all these things. Then it becomes automated in your brain. You identify people's needs. Okay, so I'm going to ask a few questions. Want to volunteer? I'm going to ask a few questions, and then basically when you see me ask this question, the question is very simple. You can write it down, or it's up to you. But the question is very simple. It's just a process of understanding. Process of understanding the other person more. Oh, what is his name? Benny. Fendi. Fendi. Can I ask you a few questions? Okay. Uh, what was your parents like? Father, mother? Let's talk about the father first.
Very simple person.
Very simple person. Uh-huh.
So much talking, very cheerful lah. Joking.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you referring to him now or back when you were young?
When young.
When young. Okay. So your father is a very cheerful person. Uh-huh. Your mother?
Angry person lah.
Easily angry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Macam cakap
You can speak in Malay. It's okay.
dia macam apa yang dia nak kena buat.
Are you sacrificing yourself to satisfy your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
My mom is everything apa yang dia suruh mesti nak.
Mesti nak. So sometimes when she requests or command you to do things, you look something like that as well. Your mom's needs very high, your needs very low. So in a way, she's controlling you. Can we say it that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you look at the questions that is being asked. Yeah. It started with how's your parents, your father, mother, brought up when you were young, and then follow. Now we understand more about his mom. Right, easily angry. Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah.
You are? How many siblings? Five. You are number 4. Okay. Now you have more information already. How old are you now? How old are you now? 31. Can you tell us more about your number 1 to number 3 siblings?
Dia satu ni dia lebih pendiam.
Lebih diam.
Lebih pendiam, dia macam lebih kurang ayah saya lah. Tak banyak cakap, tapi bila something yang tak betul dia mesti akan angry.
Easily angry as well. She's a teacher. Okay, number 2.
Number 2, lelaki tu suka macam active lelaki lah.
Okay.
Ya, number 2, number 3 lebih kurang sama.
Number 2, number 3, almost the same. What about the last one, number 5?
Number 5, temper.
Temper. Now, when we talk about temper in front of the parents,
Anywhere.
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 When triggered, everything goes ready.
Yeah.
Okay? And when all this is happening, your father all the while is quiet.
My family just macam advice, just give the advice.
Okay, good. What about your wife?
Oh, they always temper lah.
Always temper.
Apa yang saya buat semua tak kena. So diam je boleh buat.
Apa boleh buat? What's this apa boleh buat? Huh? So your needs and now, okay, when you talk about the father and mother, I don't have much information about father, right? Because he says he's a cheerful guy, he's a quiet guy, and then I have some information about the mother, easily angry, temper, right? So we know when these people easily get angry, we know that seldom it activates the thinking brain. Okay, when you're easily angry, that means you seldom activate the thinking brain, which means you're always on fighting brain. Okay, and then you can also start to see. I'm not saying all the time, yeah. It's not all the time. Sometimes it depends on the people that you mix with, the amount of information that you gather, and then how you reorganize this information. But most of the time, when you look at parents, yeah, father, mother, okay, and then when you are born, you are here, okay. Most of the time, when we look at it, if a mother have this type of characteristics, okay, and this is a guy. Look closely, yeah. This is the wife. Also equivalent to mother. Now this is adapted from this thing called toxic parents. I'll give you an example. When a kid is young, the father likes to drinks a lot. You know, when you drink, sometimes the tendency of it is getting drunk. When you get drunk, you might get angry. So maybe when this person gets angry, he will shout, he will use the rotan and hit. Okay, so for this kid, when he's growing up, what happens is this kid, most of the time, his time is not spending on the thinking brain. Most of the time, his brain is activated on the fighting brain, the limbic system, the fighting. Fighting brain is activated. Why? Because he need to monitor his father. He need to look at his body language. He need to see whether his face, is he happy that day? Did he done something? Is he not happy? What is his mood? So if a kid spends a lot of time activating his fighting brain, that means most of the time he's very quiet, very careful. When he walks softer, because he don't want to provoke the father in this case. When you don't want to provoke the father, you are actually protecting yourself, right? Because I scared my father rotan me, I scared my father hit me. So you want to protect yourself, right? So you will monitor in this case. Then back at the subconscious level, in the head they will say, usually for guys and girls, they will say, my father is always drinks a lot, alcoholic. Therefore, when I find my spouse, I'm not going to find an alcoholic. Okay? I am not going to find an alcoholic. What does it mean? It means when you're finding, what you are doing is you are looking for an alcoholic. Because when you say I am not, you already list down all the characteristics of an alcoholic. And then you only pay attention to those characteristics. We call it conditioned reflex. If it's not related to you, you just ignore, right? So okay, so you'll find those characteristics that suit alcoholics. And then when you are in a lovey-dovey situation with the alcoholic, of course, limbic system kick in, you mask off whatever you are lack of. And then once the temperature goes down from 37.2, drop back down to normal, you can start to see this guy start to emerge again. I'm an alcoholic. Right? So what this alcoholic do is, when it's a lovey-dovey session, the temperature is high, the brain temperature is high, limbic system kicks up. In his brain, he will say, I'm not an alcoholic. Therefore, when we go for dating, I'm going to bring you to a playground. We're going to do some exercise to show you that a healthy lifestyle, you know. Now, once we are together, temperature goes down, limbic system turn off. Then I start drinking. Then my spouse will say, hey, you never drink. This is me. You never know me. Then you start to hear things like, last time you are not like that. Why now you change? It's actually the limbic system turn off. You understand? So just by asking all these questions, we can start to identify we have this type of limbic system. So we have this type of meta program. The fighting brain is turned on. So same thing for this guy. When you look at your mother, she's noisy, she walks very loud, she shouts very loud and things like that. So in your head, I'm not going to find this type of girl. So what happened? Find a wife which is roughly exactly the same. And then the worst case is now both of you get married, and then now you want to stay in the same house. If this mother have this type of characteristics, and your wife have this type of characteristics, do they go for civil war or not?
No.
Huh? Huh? Sorry? Civil war will start to happen after the temperature go down. Why? Because after marriage, your wife will say, I'm a very nice wife. Now the mother is staying at home, same house, yeah, I'm a very nice wife. So her limbic system is on, 37.2. She have to portray her as a very responsible and nice wife. And then as time goes, you start to see the real emotion come up. Then they start quarreling. And then the mother will say, last time she's not like that. Why after 6 months she's like that? Now, same thing for the wife. Last time she's not like that. Why now she's like that? You understand what I mean? Right? This is basically the limbic system and the meta program that is created. Now, when you have 5 siblings, everyone is different. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scientifically, if you look at these 4 siblings, the person that kena the most, you know, all this beta program and stuff is number 1. Because husband and wife is still young. You want to pay attention to the kid. Say you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Right? Basically, in a way, it's controlling. So if you're controlling, the kid will say, fine, you want to control me, I got no choice. And then when we come to the third one, usually, most of the time, the third one and the 5th one is what we consider the most creative one. Third one. For example, when I say creative, for example, 1, the first one will switch job maybe 2 to 3 times in their life. The third one, 6 to 10 jobs. And then this one even more, 10 to 15 jobs. Why? Because this person here have less meta program compared to, this person here have more meta program compared to this few person. When you have less meta program, this few person have less meta program means you are less hurt. Right? For example, last time your family will say, nobody talks loud. And then the mom keep repeating, in this house nobody can talk very loud, nobody can shout. And then as she repeat and repeat, sometimes she feel tired already. When the second kid come, not too much damage. If here it's 100% damage, the kid 50% damage. And then she have less energy now. When the third kid come, maybe 25% damage. Right? You see the big difference here? So the third and the third, fourth, fifth usually is the creative one, which means they are the one that feels the safest the most. They are the one that is willing to go and take on risk and venture. Right? For example, the third one, the third kid will usually say, I'm going to quit my job. Worst case, I'll be a Grab driver. But then if you ask the first one will say, no, impossible, I can't quit my job. What happened if I can't support them? You see the difference here? The first holds a lot of responsibility. Why? Because they absorb the full load of meta program from not one person, but 2%. Mother, a lot of meta program. Father, like you say, very quiet. Do you think have meta program? What is it? Can you identify? What do you think the father's meta program is? That they pass it on to you? Yes, ignorance. Like the girl's dress. Sometimes when you go to her, right, he ignore. So in a way, there are certain times in life, early on in life, where you approach your father, and then he just ignore. First time is fine. First time is okay, because we don't feel it. But when it comes to second, third, fourth time, still the same. Now, I'm not saying today, first time, tomorrow, second time. No. I'm saying today, first time, 3 weeks later, another time, 2 months later, another time. So if I were to ask you what is your father's your meta program that is passed on by your father, you might not remember it. You understand what I mean? You might not remember it. I'll give you another example. Father, same thing, father, mother, and then kid. Okay? Now this kid was working for a company, and this kid organized, while working in that company, she's the one that come up with the design of the building. She's a designer of the building. She designed the building. She designed the restaurant. She designed the menu. Okay? Then she is the one that organized which chef to be hired in that restaurant. Okay? So very happily, after completion of all these things, this kid then invite her parents and say, hey, mom, dad, I just completed this restaurant, and then now my boss went there and then he likes it as well. I'm going to invite both of you to come and try the food, because we've been open for 2 months now, or 6 months now, for example. So this kid then brought the parents to the restaurant. Okay? What happens is, once they arrive at the restaurant, they order the food, and while ordering the food, this kid say, okay, don't order apple pie. It doesn't taste that good. Okay? Don't order apple pie. So then you go and order whatever, and then this kid went to the toilet or something. Eventually, all the food arrived on the table, and there you go, apple pie. Right? So what did the kid say? The kid said, don't order apple pie, because I know it doesn't taste good, and based on the feedback from previous customers and my bosses, it doesn't taste good. So we are about to do something about it, but we have not done anything about it yet. Okay? Okay. So now the apple pie is on the table. First thing they try is the other food tastes good. Every food tastes good, and then there you go, apple pie. Once you take the apple pie, you taste it. There's some problem with this apple pie. What happens now? This kid becomes, oi! I told you not to order apple pie. You want to order apple pie, now it tastes like shit. Now you're blaming me. You see, this is what the kid thinks. In a way, you are blaming me. Okay? So this kid, now a meta program right now has been created. Apple pie tastes like shit. What was her intention? What was this kid's intention? She have built this restaurant while working in the company. Now everything is perfect already, almost perfect other than the apple pie. The parents came in. When he invited the parents, do you think this kid wanted the parents to come in and say, your apple pie tastes like shit? No. Okay? But this is the comment that is being said. Of course, in the process, there are many things that you say taste good, right? Of course, she feel proud, right? This person feel proud of the food. And then suddenly, this comment came in. This thing becomes a meta program. Now, this is the first time it happened. If a similar situation happened again, for example, if this person now say, I started another restaurant, come and try again. Now, if this process repeat, and she say, now don't order the char kway teow because it tastes like shit. Now, if you still go and order the char kway teow and you still tell her it tastes like shit, second time will register in the brain, enforcing her first meta program. After enforcing, do you then think next time, subsequent new restaurants, do you think this kid will still invite her parents in or not? You said it yourself, no. Why? Because as a kid, when I invite you, I want to show you what my achievement is in the company. Correct or not? What do we want? Fulfillment. This is the job that I've been doing for the past 6 months, 1 year, and then I put in a lot of hard sweat, blood, tears into it. I work until 12 in the morning, right? To what? To get this apple pie taste like shit. Of course, this is an extreme example, lah, right? But you get the idea. So first time it can happen. Second time, you try to do it again. The third time you try to do it again. Then it will eventually reach a point where the parents will say, why my kids now don't invite me for dinner? Okay? If it reached that point, then when you go and ask the kids, hey kids, why don't you invite your parents out for dinner? Do you think the kids can answer this question? Do you think the kids can answer this question? Do you think the kid will say, oh, it is because you created this meta program and then no, right? This thing will be registered into the automation part of the brain. Don't bring parents out. Period. Why? I feel like it. Or I don't feel like bringing them out. You just feel, in this case, when you ask the kid, why don't you bring your parents out for dinner or lunch anymore? The kid will just say, I just don't feel like it. Can you explain why? No. I can't explain why. I just don't feel like it. Why? We go deeper. Why? I don't feel like it. There is a reason why. This is the reason why. So the words, that's why just now when we talk about, let's say this thing itself, what we want to see, we want to pay attention to the bright side of things. We don't want to pay too much attention on the negative side of things because in a way, it will look like neglect, ignore, label, judge. Exactly. Just this simple word. Of course, this is a very harsh word, right? Just this simple word or simple sentence alone created a huge meta program that have lifelong consequences, and you don't even know why you do it. So when you look back, usually during a festive season, Hari Raya or Chinese New Year, all the big companies, Petronas and Shell, they will do those Chinese New Year promotional videos, saying that, oh, go home lah and have dinner with your parents. And then when people watch it, they feel so emotional, right? So they'll go home and have dinner with their parents. After that, they go home. Second day, they start quarrel already. And then the second day, on the second day itself, they feel, I want to quickly go back already. I don't want to stay here, right? You feel that anger come in again. Why? This is all the meta program that's being created. Then when you look at those acts, oh, I didn't spend time. I feel bad. Therefore, I want to go home. These are all the meta programs that is being accumulated. You need to identify each and every one of it, solve it or not. Your life is like a wheel. What goes around, comes around, goes around, comes around, goes around, comes around. The screw up part is You'll be in a box because you can only mix with certain bunch of people. When all these things is happening, you start labeling, this one, she's not wearing branded shirt, therefore I can't be friend with her. But then if you are moving towards respect and collaboration, basically you can be friends with everyone. Agree or not? Why? Huh? Respect and collaboration. First part of communication. Respect and collaboration. So when somebody asks you to do things, hey, you, do this. And then she'll say, hey, you don't know how to do it? How many years have you been a human? You don't know how to clean the floor? You don't even know how to sweep the floor? How many years have you been here? How do you feel? Do you feel respect? You feel disrespect? Same thing. The person that says that. Now, if the person really says that to you, how do you feel? Bad. Right? How do you address it? Can you just say, you disrespect me? After learning this, because the other party doesn't learn this, right? Didn't learn this, but so what do you do? Huh? Sorry? What? Excuse me. Oh, this one is civil war again. Huh? Yes. Whenever we talk, we start a conversation. 3 things that we need to keep in mind. What is your objective? What is their objective? Or that person's needs? The last is relationship after communication. If the person say, hey, you've been here as a human being for the past 40 years in this world, you don't know how to sweep the floor. Now, in your head, what's my needs? What's their needs, their objective, and relationship after communication. If your relationship after communication is screw this guy, then you say, excuse me? You want to have a war? But if you see this person every day, and even if you don't see this person every day, I don't recommend you to start a civil war. Why? Because if you continue starting civil war, it becomes automated in your brain. Then when you go everywhere, civil war. Then you'll be tiring. Tiring for you. Right? Okay. Since you're having a baby now, use your goal to align your thinking. What is your goal? What is your thinking? Now imagine your kid now is what, 7, 10 years old. You ask him, okay, go out and cut the grass. Huh? So this kid go out and cut your garden's grass. After he cut already, suddenly there's a big hole there. What do you do? Yes. Will you feel angry or not? Will you feel angry? Good. Why? What's the goal of cutting grass? What's the goal of cutting grass? Huh? The goal of cutting grass is to cut grass. Huh? Yeah, tidy, yes. What else? Shorter grass, yes. What else? To teach your kid to be responsible. Can or not? Some more? A way to educate. Educate, yes. Now, do you tell your kid, please cut the grass. I want to educate you so that you are more responsible, so that you understand more about what human being is. Do you talk that way or not?